What's going on YouTube? Aaron here, and in today's video we are going to be diving back into the Kenny Veach story. So if you follow my YouTube channel, you will know that a little over a week ago I posted a video about Kenny Veach, the Nevada resident and also YouTuber that went missing shortly after posting this video here on his channel, where he was searching for a supposed M-shaped cave in the Mojave Desert. So if you haven't seen the first video that I made on the disappearance of Kenny Veach, I will have it linked up here as well as down in the description below if you need a bit of context. I by no means am the first YouTuber to cover this story. It's a fairly old case at this point, so there's also a lot on YouTube that you can dive into to catch yourself up to speed. But for this video, I just want to go over a few comments that were left on my initial video and address a couple of those things. First of all, starting with the extremely long comment that was left by Sharon Pilgrim on Kenny's original video when he went searching for the cave. So Sharon states at the very beginning of this comment, "I am the girlfriend that Kenny spoke of in the video. There are so many posts I had no idea until a friend let me know. So many people are wondering what happened and guessing different things." But where I want to start this comment is where she says what she thinks happened to Kenny. And that is at this part of the comment here where she says, "I want you to know that I do not think Kenny had an accident. I believe he committed suicide. He battled depression for many years and would not take medication or see a doctor. He quit his job a little more than a year before he disappeared. He wanted to see if he could sell his inventions and do what he called, quote, cowboy interior design for homes. He bought his first home 5 years ago and had an amazing ability of decorating in this style. He was not successful in getting a business going and was running out of money after a year of not working. He no longer wanted to work in a, quote, job for someone else, and as his money decreased, he became more and more depressed. In early October, with seeing his depression increase, I said to him, quote, you aren't going to pull a Robin Williams on me, are you? This is when he opened up more about his depression and his thoughts, much of his life about suicide. His father committed suicide when Kenny was in his early 20s. When I asked him the question, he answered me with, quote, if I decide to do it, you will be okay, because you are good at the law of allowing. He asked me what I would think of him if he did it. He also said if he decided to do it, quote, no one will ever find me. Okay, so I'm going to stop reading the comment there for a moment and just say, if this is an accurate comment that's truly coming from the girlfriend of Kenny Veach, and she is indeed telling the truth of the status of his mental health leading up to the disappearance of Kenny, and he truly said things like, no one would ever find me if I did kill myself, and some of the other things he said, this story starts to look a lot less like a mysterious disappearance and more like a tragic death. This is starting to for me, starting to look a little bit more like he potentially could have just went out there to end his life. So the next part of her comment kind of goes into two different things that were asked on my channel, and that was both how long did it take for him to be reported missing, as well as the search and rescue efforts when he went missing. You know, what was done. She explains it in her comment here. He could hike many miles in a day, so there's no telling where or how far he could have hiked during his 3-day, 2-night solo hike. When he did not call me after the 3rd day of being gone, I called missing persons. So it sounds like he was pretty, it was pretty common for him to go on these multi-day excursions. So after, multiple days, 3 days, she says, of him not getting back with her is when she ended up calling him in as missing. She says, the search for him was started within a couple days of my call. Over 30 search and rescue team members searched 3 different times on foot. 1 helicopter flyover was done, and there was no trace of Kenny or any of his camping things. They found his car in the area I told them it would be. They did find his cell phone by the mine shaft in the video. The mine shaft was only about a 4-hour hike from his car. Only a 4-hour hike? I mean, that's a pretty long hike. We'll get into that in a moment. She says, it is my feeling he left it behind so that he could not be tracked from the GPS in it. She's referring to his cell phone. He also did not take his video camera with him on his solo hike. It was left at home. So he had no intentions of filming anything. That is kind of the comment that I wanted to go over from his girlfriend. And that kind of goes into the next thing that I want to talk about, which is the cell phone location and the car. Now, if we go through this video here from Aquachigger, we will be able to find the location of the mine shaft to confirm it once again with you guys. So let's listen in.
Oh yeah, before I forget, look down over the hill there. You can see that white mound.
Apparently that's like an agave pit from the Native Americans. And if you see right here, I've lined it up perfectly on the Google Maps on the right. And I've kind of highlighted these little sections of trees along the mountains. You can see it kind of perfectly lines up. And there's another little triangular indentation right there. And then this is from Bo's YouTube channel as well. This is the mine shaft that's behind Kenny in his YouTube channel. So that's the same mine shaft right there. And that is where Sharon says she believes that he left the phone, is on that mine shaft. And then there's another indication that the mine shaft, or that the mountains line up perfectly. And then once again, if we zoom in to that location on the map, I'll zoom straight in to show exactly where that white, so there would be the mine shaft location, and then off to the left there would be the white circle that was in the background of Kenny's video and Aquachigger. And then that gets into the next comment, which was left several times on my video, asking about his car. Where was it left? I think that his car was left at the base of the canyon on this little road, and I actually mapped out the entire distance all the way up to the mine shaft that we just measured out, or that we just located. And that distance is 3.53 miles. So I'm not entirely sure, how long that would take to hike, but she was saying it was about a 4-hour hike from the car to the mine shaft. So we know that the cell phone was at the mine shaft, away from the car. The car was at the very least outside of the canyon, and then Kenny is nowhere to be found. And once again, I just wanted to cover also the Sharon Pilgrim YouTube channel, who left the comment on Kenny's video. It is an old account. It was created several years before Kenny went missing. This is it here. She joined in October of 2012. There are many people online that don't believe that this is a real comment, that this was planted here to try to cover up the story. I really don't think so. So, I mean, that's kind of it with the comment from Sharon, and kind of what I've wanted to tie to that based on a couple of the comments that I got. I want to point out two other things. Kenny, we saw that rattlesnake video of him literally holding a live rattlesnake on her channel. I think Kenny was an adventurous spirit, clearly. He didn't really show a lot of fear outwardly unless he was just terrified on the inside. I think Kenny kind of lived a little bit on the edge. And if we look at this video on his channel, at the 1635 mark roughly, listen in to what Kenny says here.
So I do all of this solo, and it's kind of dangerous, and I try to pretend like I don't have any supplies. I bring water and I bring something to eat, but I haven't eaten anything since I started this hike, and I've only had 2 small gulps of water. So I kind of try to pretend that I'm running out or I don't have it, just so I can see how far I can actually go before I feel like I'm in trouble. That way, if I ever do get in trouble, I know when I should start panicking, how long I have before I'm in trouble.
Now, that actually kind of makes sense. I mean, you kind of want to see, like, what are the limits that I can push myself to with the supplies that I have? A lot of people, there are minimalist hikers as well that try to see, and not to try to push the boundaries necessarily, but try to keep the least amount of weight on them as possible. Now, I don't know about a lot of minimalist desert hikers. The desert is a completely different place that drains you in a way that's unlike any other place, and so the appropriate amount of water is necessary. And it was said that he would sometimes take as little as possible in an effort to push his body and push the limits. I get kind of what he's explaining here about trying to see where his limit is, but still having the supplies in the event that he needs it. If
I get real thirsty or I get hungry, I could just always reach into my pack, but I like to ration what I have so I can go long distances.
So that actually makes sense to me. He's just saying I want to ration and see how far I can go before I eventually have to use what's in my pack. Now, if for some reason this wasn't a suicide and Kenny happened to be out there with very little supplies and for some reason slipped and fell and his entire water bottle leaked or cracked and he lost his water, that's a recipe for disaster. That's one mistake away from a really bad day. And so I show that not only to just show a little bit more about how Kenny kind of lived, kind of on the edge, but to say that this also could have been a fatal accident in the desert. Now, it doesn't explain why they weren't able to find him. It doesn't explain why his phone was left at the mine shaft and they searched the entire area around there and weren't able to find him. But it's still something at the very least. Also, during that same video on Kenny's, and I'll have the time frame on the screen when I play the video, but this is what he comes across, and I thought it was pretty interesting.
There's lots of little caves, but they're not the kind of cave I'm looking for. The kind of cave I'm looking for is deep, and it's dark, and it's shaped like it's shaped just like the letter M.
So what did he do there? He kind of started to like fumble over his words as he's pointing his camera. Listen to him again.
It's shaped like it's shaped just like the letter M. So lots of.
Now let's replay this, and to me, this kind of looks like an M. Like, look at this. Does that not kind of look like an M? Like an M? I mean, to some degree, I think it kind of looks like an M. So, I don't know. Did Kenny actually walk past the cave that day and realize that that was what he was, seeing the day before or the time before? And did he realize, oh, this is definitely what I was seeing, but it wasn't as cool as I remember it, and this is going to be lackluster for a video? And did he, at that point, realize I'm never going to find the actual M cave because that was it? Sometimes we see things in life that are so cool, and then we want to show people, and then we end up showing them that we're like, actually, this was way cooler the first time I saw it. That kind of thing. It happens to all of us in one way or another. But maybe at that point in his video, he actually came across the M cave and realized it wasn't what he remembered it as, and it wouldn't make for a captivating video. If he were to post that, people might be like, it kind of looks like an M, but it's really not that cool. And then he could become more upset about the situation overall. So anyways, that's it. I just wanted to address those couple of things, the comments that I got about the phone, the car, how extensive the search was, and the comment that was left on Kenny's video by his supposed girlfriend. It really was helpful in answering pretty much all of those things. So if that comment is indeed real, then maybe it says a lot about this story. I, of course, will be here to make videos on this subject if there is ever any breaking news. But until then, this will probably be the last video I make on Kenny Veach for a while. I appreciate you watching this video. Like I said, if you haven't seen my first video on Kenny, it'll be linked down below. But yeah, thanks for watching. Definitely hit subscribe and like for future videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.